It's Jake's boy, PLD.
And I'm Richard-Erik Jarvi.
And I'm Matty Gunner, and welcome to Class Action.
The classiest movie show on the interwebs.
Classiest. It's very classy out here. The classiest.
We are so class auction.
Class auction.
Jarvi, I'm wondering as an actor what your accent coach thinks of your English accent.
It'd be like, holy fuck, pick something and stick with it. Because it's like, that's what they usually say about Europeans. Like some of it is a bit American, some of it is very UK, and it's sort of stuck in between. I'd be like Gal Gadot, like sort of just doing my own thing. And if I'm a lead in a movie, everyone has to adopt what I'm doing because I can't do theirs.
I never care how good it is. I never care how good an accent is, really, honestly. If it's bad, I'm amused, and if it's good, I kind of like, oh, that's cool. Either way, it doesn't really. I get these are actors, so I'm not like pretending like this is like. I know if you're an American doing an English accent, I'm not gonna like. I don't know. This is not the same for me. Although the other side, I will say real quick, it does surprise me when you have like actors like Hugh Laurie come over and do an American accent. I don't know they're not American, and they convince me.
I mean, Idris is the prime example, right? Like for years, people had no idea that Idris Elba is British. But I always find it interesting that Brits and Europeans can do American accents better than American actors can do English.
That's because we're American as fuck. We don't want to.
Except for Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock accent is fucking great.
Actually, yeah, he does have that down pretty well.
Somebody did an accent recently, and I remember saying that they were pretty close to the mark. I can't remember what it was now, though. I remember this discussion. I'll have to think about it.
I could used to do an Aussie accent because when I was living in Australia for like a year, I was applying for jobs. And I when a person in front of me speaks in a certain accent, it's very easy for me to adopt theirs. So I just did the whole thing, like trying to sound like an Aussie. And it was like, oh, you're not from here. I was like, fuck yeah, I wanted to hear that.
Nice, very nice.
Apparently I'm Jarvi for the week, by the way. I forgot to.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, yeah, I'm Matty.
There we go. There we go.
Oh, back on top. Get down there. I'm up here. You're down there. You came in the wrong goddamn showroom.
I gotta say, it's funny actually with Matty's lighting because you always have a darker lighting than we do.
Yeah.
So it actually fits that you're down below, like you're actually below ground level.
I am in the gutter.
It's the basement. I actually got to do an accent for when I was acting back in the day. I had to, my high school. I had to do an Irish accent. I played like a member of the IRA, and it was so. I had so much problem.
Oh my god, I'd love to hear that.
I'll have to get it out. I'll have to find a tape for that.
You sure? You go from Ireland.
I think I got it after a while. It took a long time, and like I got like my director used to yell at me because I got in trouble once because I didn't understand why I got in trouble. They got pissed at me though. I ran lines, and my fucking stage manager threw me in. I was running lines with them, and I just did my normal accent, my English accent, my American accent ever, because I was just trying to remember the lines. I didn't want to like concentrate on like the things. And like, no, you have to do it in Irish the entire time. And he got so pissed at me, I had to stay after like do the whole thing again in Irish. I was like, I was taking one step at a time, dude. I was gonna get there. I want to get the lines down first so I can concentrate on the accent. But fucking A.
So the only acting performance I've ever done was a stage performance as Lestat in a stage performance of Queen of the Damned, and I had to do a French accent.
Nice.
Because obviously Lestat is a French nobleman. And I was so bad. I was proper like Pepe Le Pew. Like, oh, they speak like this. And I was just like, it got like after the first performance, and the guy who was putting it on was like, just talk like an Englishman.
I could completely get myself canceled. But in like my freshman year in high school, you got to remember how old I am.
All right.
This was like the early 90s, like 1990, 94, somewhere around there. And I played, there's a musical, and in the musical, there was my one and only. So they fly over, they go like to the Middle East, and it was like bar sequence.
No.
And even though he had an Middle Eastern actor who could have played the part, they cast me in the part of Ahmed. And
no. Please don't.
I do this like stereotypical Apu like accent, and I got all the laughs in the world, and like I feel horrible about it now. I mean, I was 14 at the time.
Oh
no!
If I ever have that video, I don't even know if I have that video. If I ever found the video, I would never be able to play it anywhere. I would get kicked out. It'd be very bad. It'd be very. We all would be canceled. You guys just associating with me, but I did the very stereotypical Ahmed accent, and yes, I got a lot of.
I mean, Jarvi gets canceled like twice every week, so
that's true.
PLD knows one picture that I stupidly sent. Yeah. Let's just say Tropic Thunder costume was involved, and I'll say no more.
So it wasn't the Giancarlo Stanton jersey?
No, different one than that. That was
what you got canceled for?
I got canceled for different reasons. Kelly, I bet you'd be able to do a British accent. I would love to see.
I can do a Russian accent.
Well, there you go.
I mean, you live like right next door.
Yeah, because actually, that is the one thing I can really expertly. What's the word? Not value. Sort of give my opinion on is a Russian accent, because when in Marvel movies, whatever, like Scarlet did the fucking Russian accent and started speaking Russian. That is the one thing that Estonians can pinpoint, and whenever it happens in the cinemas, every Estonian is laughing their asses off because it's always so freaking bad.
What about Mickey Rooney and Iron Man 2?
Sorry?
What about Mickey Rourke?
Mickey Rooney. No, it was still pretty bad. I want my bird.
And what about Ed Harrison? Phantom.
I want my bird.
Ed Harrison. Phantom. Come on.
Ed Harrison.
Phantom.
I've never seen it.
Of course you have, you motherfucker. So, all right. Anyway,
when Mila Kunis starts speaking fluent Russian, and
that's good. She's Ukrainian. That's
Is
spot
she?
on. She's Ukrainian.
I thought she just learned the language. Ooh.
Yeah. And Anton Yelchin, rest in peace.
Okay,
right? Yeah, he actually did a perfect Russian accent, and I think it was J.J. Abrams said like, you got to do more. You got to make it more cartoony. He was like, no Russians speak like this. You got to do more. He just went way over the top, but his accent was on point though.
Well, watch Ed Harrison Phantom. Actually, I think you'd like the movie too. It's a submarine movie. He's a captain.
The Phantom?
It's just Phantom, not the Phantom. Just Phantom. William Fichtner's in it.
So not Ed Harris isn't in the Phantom Menace.
David Duchovny. He is. He's in my heart, he is. David Duchovny is in it. It's a good film. It's actually pretty.
This is not two mediocre white dudes. What the hell are we doing?
No, this is 3 average at best white dudes.
Yeah, but we're not doing the. We are kind of definitely bantering and going completely off topic. We haven't even mentioned Thor yet. Hi, everybody. We're talking about Thor Ragnarok versus Thor: Love and Thunder this week. That's our class action battle of the week, where we take 2 franchises, actors, films, directors, and put them up against each other in a climactic battle to the death. As we go through these categories, and sometimes things happen to the death.
One of them dies.
One dies is never heard of.
So it's a trial by combat. Okay.
Trial by combat, and it's episode number 56. Also, we should mention we will be spoiling both movies heavily.
Yes. Thor Ragnarok probably you should definitively know about by now. Thor: Love and Thunder, I hope you do, but if you don't, you might want to at least pause this and watch that first. Or if you don't care, then don't worry about it. Then it's fine. But you have been told. You have been told. I actually will talk. Let's talk a quick opening segment. And since Thor: Love and Thunder is so new, do we want to talk about our feelings about it at all, or do you want to just save it to the end?
Yeah,
we haven't really. Let's talk about it. Much about it.
Let's talk about it.
Much about it.
No.
What did you think, Jarvi? Well, you got to see.
I really liked it. I wanted to love it, but I think it was exactly what I expected it to. Though I did expect Taika to overwhelm me in a positive way, and he didn't. But it was still a lot of I laughed my ass off. By far the funniest MCU movie ever. But I feel like I'm going to sound like a broken record because my criticisms are exactly what most people have. Like the fact that it was just way too silly, almost no seriousness in it at all. But I got to say Christian Bale and Natalie Portman by far were the standouts, and they definitely grounded the movie for me.
Okay.
Not enough, though, but still, they helped.
Matty, how about you?
I loved it. I loved it.
I'm so glad to hear that.
The exact perfect amount of silly that I love. This is the perfect amount of bro humor that I love. I was the guy that in the screening that we were in. Anytime the screaming goats came on screen, I laughed my ass off every time.
I still hear those screams. I still hear them.
And it's just everyone talking about it now. I'm just going to put this out into the universe. If we don't get the Taika Star Wars film because of you fucks that are complaining about this movie, I will kill every single one of you.
That's a fair statement to make. Whoa. And I don't disagree. Because I will jump in and say, I unabashedly, unreservedly, unhesitatingly, without any pause at all, without any worries about what anybody else thinks, fucking loved this movie.
Yes.
You gave it a 5 out of 5.
I gave it a 5 out of 5.
What the fuck?
It is top 5 MCU for me. It is probably the way I have it ranked number 4.
I think I've got it like 6 or 7.
And it's really like 3 if you count. No, it's like number 4. It's if you count an Endgame and Infinity War as 1 in a way. I don't know. Either way, it's top 5. I thought that this movie was the perfect blend of 80s. It is an 80s sci-fi action adventure fantasy kids movie at its heart, but like it was just I can't even tell you. This is like a movie that was made in the 80s for me. The music was great. The characters were great. The actor. This is obviously before. Everybody might think I'm being a little biased due to a certain mid-credit scene, but even before that, I was loving it. That absolutely helped it even more. But like there was so much.
And there's also like people might think, oh, recency bias. No, this film is fucking brilliant.
I actually saw it twice. I went right back. I don't see movies in the theaters more than once very often. Now that I kind of see it, I'm great, and I'll wait till because it comes out. They come out so quickly on streaming. I'm like, okay, fine. I took Kim and we're going the next day and watched it again. And it was so good, so good on every single level. Now, with that being said, Thor Ragnarok is my number 1 favorite film of all MCU film of all time. Still, so I think I probably did like Thor Ragnarok a little better, maybe, but I really think this is just as good of it. Like some people have said they're so different. Some people said like this is the worst MCU film of all time. I'm saying the worst Thor film of all time. And I'm like, I just don't understand what you're saying. Like Thor: The Dark World.
Who is saying that this is the worst MCU?
I have seen plenty of people.
I'm gonna flick at those people.
I'm just gonna say like I am at this point done giving my opinion on movies over the internet. If anyone wants to know my opinions on movies, you can come to this show where we can actually talk about it and have a conversation about it. I'm so done with like internet troll fans.
Oh yeah, I don't do that.
I'm done with it.
It's why I actually said this in one of my reviews that I don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks. I really don't. Like
I will say Will is right though. Will is right. Needs more testing.
It always needs more testosterone.
Everything
always needs more guns, and it still could use more Guns N' Roses. So, and honestly, Will, that's fine. That's fine. If you can be mad, I understand why people don't like it. Don't get me wrong. I get that like the humor is too much for some people. I completely understand that. I completely get it's not for me.
I'm not one of those people either. I'm not the one who didn't like it. I don't
get why people have to be like, it's the worst MCU movie ever. I hate it. Taika sucks. Why can't you just say, it wasn't for me? I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Why do people have to be so fucking...
My worst MCU film, which to me, I think I rated Iron Man 2 as my least favorite. I still watch it. I can still watch it and have fun with it and be fine with it. It's still fine.
The freaking Formula 1 scene? Oh my God, it's so fucking good.
I love Iron Man 3.
I love
that's
I love that movie.
Ones.
That's
one of the
That's
great
my
ones.
number 4. That's my number 4.
Really? It's that high?
It's got every time I see it, it gets better and better for me. It is growing appreciation every time I watch it.
Can you guys guess what my number 1 is?
Your number 1 of all time.
Number 1 MCU movie of all time.
It's gotta be like a
Shang-Chi.
Weirder one. Yeah, Shang-Chi.
It's gotta be Shang-Chi.
Is it Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi? Shang. Okay. We gotta stop it.
Well, all right. Let's move on then to what we have to talk about here. Of course, we have our trial, but first we have our favorite game in the universe. What would Ed Harris play in Ragnarok? And what would Ed Harris play in Love and Thunder?
Let's leave Maddie's the very last because I feel like he's got a banger for us.
Are we doing Love and Thunder?
Wait, you're okay. I know you went out and said how excited you are to talk about it. Is it for both of them or is it for one of them?
I mean, my Ragnarok one is great, but my Love and Thunder one is
okay. So we'll save your Love and Thunder one for the last one. Okay, we'll start out with Jarvi for Thor Ragnarok. How about that?
All right, so mine's the same for both ones.
Okay, good.
Yeah, had a really tough time this time recasting Ed Harris. But I landed on pretty much a cameo. It's when Loki has these theatrical scenes, like where he's acting out the like the famous moments. So I was thinking, I gotta put Ed Harris as one of those characters, and I couldn't think. I just landed on, sure, Sam Neill is awesome, but I just want Ed Harris as Odin, and just do it complete, like do it completely serious, like way too serious that it's funny. like over the top serious, because everyone in that scene is like very silly. I want Ed Harris to be like, he takes it very seriously. He's like a serious actor among them.
And you do the same. He's
same. Yeah,
I get that, and I get that. That's cool. Real quick, throw this out there. William Harold Ed Harris is Zeus in Love and Thunder. That's an interesting choice for sure. Talk about that. And one clean actually says is, I've heard this from a bunch of people, and it's absolutely right. William Hurt passed away, so did he Thunderbolt Ross?
Holy shit! Especially because they're doing the Thunderbolts movie, right?
Right, they're doing Thunderbolts movie. We're developing that, so I think Ed Harris would be amazing in that. So I'm putting that out in the world. I'm going to keep putting that in the world as much as I can. I mean, I always put out in the world that he could be in Whistler and Blade, but Whistler wasn't actually a comic book character, so I don't know if they'll actually have him.
Didn't they already cast Delroy Lindo?
Did they? I don't remember hearing that at all.
I think they did.
Okay, I know at one point that Ed Harris was in talks, or there was an idea that Ed Harris could play Whistler because it was the very character type that he was. But that's not the case. That's fine. I'll cast him as Thunderbolt Ross. I'm all for that. Ed Harris finds a way. I like that. I agree. So I'll go for my Ragnarok then. I did it. I don't feel as like wowed amazing about it, but I'd love to see Ed Harris in the Scourge role.
No,
Carl Urban's character. Come on.
That Carl Urban.
Of course you can.
Perfect.
Of course you can. At the end there, when the creatures are jumping on the ship. But Ed Harris, and they come up the ship. Ed Harris actually, it's set up perfectly for it. He comes out in the M16. He comes down. He's like, "I'm up in this ship. You're down on the bridge. You walked to the wrong goddamn flight commander. Come on." Ed Harris would put that perfect.
I just love Carl Urban so much.
I do.
That's just my issue.
I got to do it. So. All right, let's move on to Love and Thunder for Jarvi. Then I'll do mine for Love and Thunder.
No, my Love and Thunder is the same.
Oh, it was the same. That's right.
Because there's Thor in it again, so he's just reprising his role.
Same reprising his role. Okay. So to go back to mine then, huh? On that one, huh? Well, I kind of went back and forth with a few ones for Thor: Love and Thunder. There's a lot of different choices you could do. But I'm going to say it. I mean, I was like, can you do Christian Bale? He could do Gore. He could do Gore very easily.
Yeah,
he would handle Gore pretty easily. But I didn't want to go there. So I'm going to have Ed Harris do exactly what William Harold said. I'm having Ed Harris play Zeus.
Yeah. But Ed like funny or do it serious?
I want to see him be funny. I want to see him like be funny as
hell. Like do the tippy-toeing?
He could. That would make it so much funnier. Like Ed Harris against type doing that. That'd be fucking hilarious as hell. Although the only problem was he would take more than a thunderbolt to knock him down because it's a fucking Ed Harris. I don't care what the script says. He's fine. But I like
he's even Russell Crowe is fine. You can see even
that's true.
Him
That's true. But I did think about Ed Harris as I should say. Didn't you say that? I did think about Ed Harris as the Jeff Goldblum role, the Ragnarok as well.
Yeah. But it's like, can you ever really recast Jeff Goldblum?
I mean, I could.
Also, just a quick thing. We talked about the Russell Crowe scene. Did you notice that when Russell Crowe flicks and the clothes come off, that like all the women are fading? But the two guards that are standing also go like, yeah. I love that.
I think there's even the one guard that looks at him like,
yeah, oh, that's a thunderbolt. And yes, thank you, Kelly. See, that's awesome. I'd love to see it. All right, wow us, Matty, with your Love and Thunder, and don't tell me it's the fucking Screaming Goats.
It's not the Screaming Goats. This one is so on the fucking nose that it's perfect. I would recast. Sorry, Taika. I would recast Ed Harris as Ninny of the Nonny, so then he is the god of the rock.
Oh, right, at the very start.
The guy? The omnipotent scene, the omnipotent city. They actually show the core god. When they're playing through that.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yes.
So he is the god of the rock.
Okay.
I love it. I'm here for it.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Well done, my friend. Well done.
That's perfect. Ninny of the Nunny.
Wow. All right. Let's get into this.
Let's see it. Hearing Ed Harris trying to do a Kiwi accent would be fucking great.
He does. No problem. He's the.
It's not easy.
Hello, my name is Ed. I made the
book. I'm God of the Rock. I'm up here. I'm up here. You're down there. You walked in the wrong goddamn room, Commander.
I'm up here. You're down there.
I thought you were dead. You're actually alive.
Oh, I'm alive. All right. You never walked away from anything in your life. Now fight, bitch. All right.
Oh, that's Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda.
Oh, I love fighting.
All right, let's get into the trial. Then we have 5 categories we put up against each other. We're going to see which one wins, Ragnarok or Love and Thunder. Let's get our snap judgment before we do that. Actually, I'll start off. I think I kind of already spoiled it, since Thor Ragnarok is my number 1. And Love and Thunder is right up there, number 4 or 5, whatever it was I had to choose. I think my snap judgment is that Ragnarok wins. I kind of feel that way, but I think it's gonna be close. There's just no definitive snap judgment for me.
Mm-hmm.
This is not going to be a fucking sweep like it was like a couple weeks ago. What do you guys think?
You go, Matty.
I'm going with the upset.
You want Love and Thunder?
I think Love and Thunder squeaks it out.
Okay, all right.
It's weird. Like before the categories, I had one pick. Now, having done the categories, I feel like it can be different. But I'm still going to go the safe route. I'm going to say Ragnarok.
Okay. All right, let's without further ado, let's see what the actual battle is. Anybody in the chat, you want to throw in your snap judgment, what you think? I mean, you don't know what the categories are, so you should tell the categories first and then let them make their snap judgment.
Or do we want people to give us a public defender?
Well, if somebody has a public defender they want to throw out there, which is, if you don't know what that means, you can just ask an off-the-cuff question related to the film's top 5, or like somewhat tangentially related, at least top 5 something.
So this would be like top 3 movies about gods, top 3
top 3
movies,
Guns N' Roses songs that should have been in there instead of the 4 that were
top 3 greatest long hair movies.
I think if you want to do that, we can do that. And we can even do that mid category if you want to. So why don't we start off while they're thinking about it? We'll start off with the first category in the trial: better music, Thor Ragnarok or Love and Thunder. I'll start if you don't mind.
Oh, of course, you have to take this one. This is right up your alley.
It's kind of funny. If you're talking score, there's a definitive difference between score and soundtrack, especially in these films. The score, I think, is definitively Love and Thunder. I think Giacchino's score is spot on. I think Mark Mothersbaugh. God, this guy's name. It's not a guy I know very well. Mark Mothersbaugh, who did the music for Ragnarok. I did enjoy it quite a bit, but for some reason, Giacchino always kind of gets me. He's like my more recent young goat, so to speak. But it's a really, I shouldn't say Love and Thunder wins definitively, because it is close. But Love and Thunder does make the final edge. The big difference comes in, you have 4 Guns N' Roses songs.
Yeah.
Versus 1.
4?
There's 4 in there.
Sweet Child of Mine, November Rain.
Welcome to the Jungle. And Paradise City.
Oh, yeah, Paradise. Shit.
4 Guns N' Roses songs. And you have 1 greatly used, by the way, Led Zeppelin song. I'm not gonna lie, that was my favorite moment of all the movies.
That's one of the greatest moments in Ragnarok.
I almost would give it to it just for that, but there's just 4 songs in Love and Thunder that have the nil. So adding that to Giacchino's score, it's got to be Love and Thunder for me.
I'm gonna add to that, because there's more than 4 great songs used in it.
Yeah, there's also a Dio song.
You have arguably one of the greatest metal songs ever written. To me, it's up there with Master of Puppets, Megadeth's Holy Wars, Dio's Rainbow in the Dark. Those 3 are like interchangeable. And then you also have the Mary J. Blige song, Family Affair.
That was one of the greatest moments.
There's that ABBA song as well.
Yeah, Enya's in there.
There's an ABBA song. And as great as Led Zeppelin were, as iconic as Immigrant Song is, I came up in a generation of movie soundtracks that had different bands on them, and then you would go and find those bands and then like buy the albums because of the songs you heard. Like a lot of the bands that I heard on the Underworld Evolution soundtrack, I went out and bought their albums from. The Resident Evil soundtrack was how I discovered Slipknot and Nine Inch Nails.
Right. I totally get that. Absolutely.
So
The Crow was another great soundtrack, or had a bunch of alternative rock bands. I never really got into before that.
The Cure. I mean,
yep. Absolutely.
I wouldn't have had a lot of my music taste without movie soundtracks, and I'm all for movies bringing back great needle drops to put on their soundtracks.
Right. I do that, man.
That is an art form all in itself. Like it began like I think 4 or 5 years ago when they really started to curate those soundtracks into the, like, if you pick the perfect song, it's gonna do way more and way better than the actual score of a movie.
The needle drop.
Or when you would have bands write songs for movies.
Right.
Well, that's a whole.
Well, that's a totally different area. But hell, I was saying started back from Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead, Don't Stop Me Now was the perfect needle drop for that moment at that point. It's a lot of things like that, for example.
And Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, there you go. Another one. Thor Love and Thunder also had a great original song, the Hey Nini Nani, as performed by Taika Waititi. So I got to give it that.
Really?
Yeah, that was a great song.
So I'm going to go with the Love and Thunder for sure. So, and Gunnar, you're going with Love and Thunder as well, though, correct?
I'm Love and Thunder.
All right.
I haven't even given my verdict yet.
I know. I'm saying we have. So
okay.
I'm marking ours down. Sorry. So go ahead now.
I'm actually. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was a bit impatient. I was like, yeah, Matty, Love and Thunder. Yeah, Jarvi, Love and Thunder. Everyone goes Love and Thunder. All right. Actually, I'm of a different opinion when it comes to the score. I think Thor Ragnarok actually had a more memorable score, which is surprising because Giacchino is like, you can't even call him an up and comer. He's already up there, but he's getting better and better with every movie. He's doing Star Wars, he's doing Marvel, he's doing like original movies. So I think Thor Ragnarok definitely had a better score, but Love and Thunder just fucking wrecked shop with its soundtracks. I mean, you guys didn't mention, but Ciara's Goodies, like when the ringtone goes off, that is one of the best laughs in the movie.
Yeah.
And of course, I was very surprised actually, and I'm very glad that they used "Sweet Child of Mine" in the movie as well. They used it in this trailer. I was like, okay, they like blew their load in the trailer. They're not going to use it in the actual movie. They did, and it still friggin' worked. It was
the 4 best Guns N' Roses, the 4 biggest Guns N' Roses songs. Can you imagine how much the licensing alone would have cost on that?
Oh yeah. It's not cheap. That's not cheap.
And I gotta say, like, what the ball. I mean, I think the balls to use the November Rain guitar solo was like, it was a ballsy moment because it's not like a riff. Like, know the Sweet Child of Mine riff, the Welcome to Jungle parts, Paradise City, beginning Paradise City. They went in the random middle part of November Rain song. I'm not saying it's not iconic. I know there's the iconic video Slash on the piano.
I'd say the solo is iconic.
The solo is iconic, but as far as like using a needle drop in an album, it kind of feel like it's not. I think it's a ballsy choice, regardless.
Yeah.
And I thought it worked perfectly. I was like ready to get. As soon as I started playing, I felt myself like stop my foot, like waving my head, like this. I'm just going like I felt the wind in my face. I'm in a movie theater. I'm still feeling like the wind in my face in the video. I'm like, this is fucking spot on.
Plus, if I'm not mistaken, I just looked it up. I think Slash improvised the solo for November Rain.
First time I believe he did.
But yeah, the first time they were playing it, I think it just came up with it on the spot, and it's just like, wow, you came up with that on the spot.
Monoverse, it's not a question until the end. You have to go through the entire categories.
You have to wait. The categories decide. We are merely the arbiters of the categories.
We can't forget about ABBA and Enya in there as well.
So
did you seriously think we'd get freaking ABBA?
No.
And like when Orinoco Flow, like I think it was at the start when they're with the Guardians, like saving the weird alien race with the. I think it's then the Orinoco Flow song comes on. It's friggin' perfectly.
ABBA, I would expect in Guardians.
Yeah, it should kind of respect it from Thor, giving that like where they're from in a way, but like, it feels like ABBA feels like a Viking type thing, Norwegian kind of thing, Sweden, that kind of thing. But I get what you're saying. Well, that's it then. So Jarvi, you're saying overall,
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder. Okay, so we are 3-0 at that point because all three of us picked Love and Thunder as the better music choice. So let's move on to better cast.
I'm sorry. Actually, Matty wants better cast at the very end.
Cast is last.
Oh, we changed that. Okay.
Yeah, better adventure should be next one.
Better adventure. Okay, let's save that one. Then. All right, then. Better adventure. We got better Love and Thunder or Ragnarok. You want to start this one, Jarvi?
Sure. This is a category where I also incorporated the tone into, because definitely when it comes to these two movies, we got to talk about the tone a little bit. And when it comes to Ragnarok, definitely tonally had more balance. The story and the adventure was a little more clear cut in Ragnarok. I feel like with Thor and Love and Thunder, like it leaned very heavily on the humor, and the story was a bit all over the place. Like if I had to just explain the plot of the movie to you, I would have a lot of trouble. Also, I know I've seen Ragnarok like freaking 18 times, and I've seen Love and Thunder only once. But when it comes to the actual story, I think actually they're very similar as well. If you think about the scenes in when Ragnarok, when they get freaking transported through the Devil's Anus into Sakaar?
Yeah, this is kind of the
and in Thor: Love and Thunder, they go to Zeus. Sort of a very similar storyline happening right there. And also, if you think about in Thor Ragnarok, they're trying to save Asgard. In Thor: Love and Thunder, they're saving the Asgardians, and they're sort of. So if you really think about it, it's kind of the same story that just follows the same thread. But I feel like in Thor Ragnarok, the humor served the story, and in Thor: Love and Thunder, the story served the humor. And I gotta say, I lean into the camp where I think Ragnarok has a better balance with its story and its sense of adventure, because I really didn't feel like even in the Ragnarok, it was also kind of difficult to really feel scared for Thor. But the fact that Hela freaking blew off his eye, destroyed the hammer. So in Love and Thunder, I was never for a second worried about Thor whatsoever. Sure, Jane kind of brought the balance because she definitely had a tragic storyline and she was really the one in danger. But I think it's still Thor's story. So for that reason, I'm giving this one to Ragnarok.
Okay. Matty, what about you?
I'm going with Ragnarok because, hear me out here, the Ragnarok proved to me why Taika is perfect to make a Star Wars story.
Oh, interesting.
Ragnarok is about the story of two sons reconciling the sins of their father. It is a story of redemption, of self-discovery, of well, I guess they kind of did overthrow Hela to create a new era for the Asgardians, be it they didn't have a choice. Their home was destroyed. But you got to think Alderaan, destroyed. Asgard, destroyed. They go and make a new home for themselves. And it's very much like Love and Thunder kind of it was a similar kind of story I felt to the first one of Thor trying to discover who he is now. Whereas I feel like we kind of already know who he is now. But I don't know, it just had a lot of similar story beats to me, not so much to Ragnarok, but the first one. And I get that it's a story of rediscovery, but yeah, it just seemed, maybe it is the Star Wars fan in me that is seeing the similarities between Ragnarok, and that's making it kind of why I'm pushing more for Ragnarok. But that kind of a story just speaks to me more, I feel, and that's why I'm giving this one to Ragnarok.
Fair enough. I will throw money verse up there. Yes, well, we'll have to talk about that. That is one of our later categories.
That is a category. That is a category.
Yes, is actually making a good point. He makes a very good point here. The car is definitely more important overall to the story, while the City is more of a pit stop. I agree with that, to be honest with you. But I will say that I think I agree with both of you on Ragnarok on this one as well. And the reason why is more what Jarvi said. As much as a Star Wars fan I didn't get that Star Wars feel as much as you did. Although you mentioned that, and I do want to tell you watch Star Wars. I think it's going to be phenomenal if it happens. Should it happen? It should happen. So
it will.
But I actually agree with Jarvi in that this, as much as I loved Love and Thunder, loved it so much, Ragnarok was definitely a little more focused, shall we say, as far as the adventure from point A to point B to point C to point D. It seemed like it was Thor: Love and Thunder definitely was a little more. It almost was like went over and beyond, and I don't want to say too far because that makes it sound like I didn't like it, but it definitely was a little more chaotic, and I love the chaos for it. But as far as an overall focused adventure, this was definitely more of a focused adventure in Ragnarok. Thor was more of a personal discovery. They both had their moments of saving Asgardians, saving Asgard, that kind of thing, saving the children. The personal stakes were kind of more nebulous, but maybe more important in Love and Thunder, while as Ragnarok is a better overall adventure, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go with Ragnarok as well.
We're very much in tune today.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't think we've ever been like this. We don't have any.
Yeah, I don't like this
opinions.
I don't like
no
this.
one likes this.
Let's see if we can change that. Let's see if we can change that to when we do better fist pumps. Better fist pumps is the category number 3. We'll start with you in this time, Matty. What's your better fist pump movie?
This was tough. This was tough because there was like my ultimate fist pump of Ragnarok was when Fenrir, the giant wolf, comes out and just starts absolutely going to town. But that moment where Thor just grabs the thunderbolt, spins around and just throws it, and it just goes right through Zeus, I was like, fuck yeah.
That's a good point.
And then you have the moment, as corny as people are going to say it, I kind of liked it, where Thor gave his power to all the kids.
Dude, I loved
that moment.
I loved it. He has the Thunderbolt. That's part of why you can do that. He has that's from the Thunderbolt, and I thought it was perfectly done.
You get a superpower. You get a superpower. Everyone gets a superpower.
Temporarily. It's a very comic thing. It would happen in the comics, I bet. Something like that. Well, I'm sorry, Matty. Go ahead and continue with your thought process.
I gotta go Love and Thunder.
Wow, okay.
Because of the same scene, the Thunderbolt?
The Thunderbolt scene, Korg not dying, that was definitely a fucking fist bump. Yeah. I was like, yes, he's fucking the face. Okay. The scene where they're on the ship and they're on their way to I think they call it the Shadow Realm. Shout out to Yu-Gi-Oh! Just the way that looks, I was like, fuck yeah, dude. That fucking a Viking ship flying through space to go and face a god killer. Oh.
Being hauled by 2 laughing goats.
2 screaming. Yeah, I it's by a very slim margin. I gotta give it to Love and Thunder.
Okay.
We gotta talk about when Thor rides his hammer like a freaking broomstick at the start of the movie.
Stormbreaker? Oh yeah.
And also, can we talk about the moment where he's trying to call to Mjolnir while James got in his hand, and Stormbreaker comes past? He's like, "Oh, hey, you!"
The Stormbreaker jealousy stuff was fucking awesome.
They humanized, not humanized, but they gave like the weapons emotions. They were like characters on their own. That was perfect.
You know how many times I've been in that situation, looking at an ex and I've been with another guy, and like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?"
I even like the part when he actually just picks up the hammers.
Oh, thank God.
Okay. Ooh, just need to do that. Just need to know that. I will. This is a very tough one. I think my favorite singular fist pump is in Ragnarok, and that's like the one I mentioned already. The immigrant song coming off the bridge, just beautiful, powerful. Fuck yeah! Watching Loki like smirk when like. Hela gets
immigrant
blasted.
Song moment.
Yeah, the immigrant song moment.
Okay.
Led Zeppelin one. Yeah, because he blasts Hela. Hela goes flying. You see the lightning. You just see like Loki look up and go, "Oh yeah, he's back. Here he is." And he comes down with the immigrant song. It's so fucking good. PJ is the best. PJ is the greatest person alive. Oh, everything I say is wrong. Okay. So what I was going to say also is that the best part is in Love and Thunder, though, they use that fist bump in Infinity War and in Love and Thunder, both almost a similar fist bump moments. It's that same moment, like Thor arriving in Wakanda is very much based on that. The beginning of this movie, when he enters the Guardians battle, they actually use Guns N' Roses cue. And it comes on. It's very so they use it over and over again. So that tells you how good it is. And actually lessens the Love and Thunder version of it because it's definitely like a little bit of a copy. But then there is so many moments in Love and Thunder as well. First of all, for me personally, the mid-credit scene, we'll get to that. That's a very big fist bump moment for me personally. Absolutely. But they had a bunch of other ones too. I like the kids moment. I love the kids moment. I love the battle sequence in like the black and white Shadow Realm area. I loved the reveal of Jane. I reveal like everything about it is just
jacked Jane.
Jack and Jane is so good.
Like everyone's talking about Hemsworth like physique, but like Portman's shredded.
Valkyrie is great as well. I love the Zeus and everything Omnipotent City. It's so fucking good. But yeah, so I'm gonna go with Love and Thunder too. Barely, but just barely. There's a lot in Ragnarok I like, but there's enough in Love and Thunder where I'm like, okay, I'll go with Love and Thunder.
I feel like Christian Bale is a walking fist bump on its own as well.
That's a good point too.
But we'll definitely get into him when we talk about the cast. One of my Love and Thunder fist bumps, actually many of them, is everything with Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. That's some of my favorite stuff that just happens there. The humor that's there. And of course, the number one moment is when Sweet Child of Mine actually plays, because you had heard that song from the trailer. When they actually used it in the movie, I feel like because I wasn't expecting it to happen, and it just friggin' lit the entire theater up. But Ragnarok, I'd even say it's not the better fist bump moment of the two. I'd say it's one of the best MCU fist bumps ever, and it's the same one that you talked about. It's when Thor finally figures out he doesn't need the hammer. The Immigrant Song comes on. He just freaking lights everything up. The moment, I'm going with Ragnarok just because of that one moment. It is so friggin' powerful, so awesome. Yeah, that one just takes it.
I can't blame you. I sit there. I can't blame you for that at all. So, all right.
I also forgot my absolute favorite fist bump is in Love and Thunder. It's the fucking workout scene. The training montage.
The chains, you mean?
Using the chains as battle ropes.
From dad bod to god bod.
And he's doing like the sled pulls using a spaceship. I was like, damn.
So good.
You flick too hard, damn it. That was it was in the trailer. It was still a freaking awesome moment. Everyone in the theater was like, oh.
I get an Instagram ad all the time from Chris Hemsworth saying like, here's my training routine. The amount of times I look at it and think, maybe. But fuck that. Do you have any idea how much like effort and shit that would fucking take?
That's all of the steroids, all of the supplements.
Yep.
But it's crazy. I don't think is there an actor, and don't include the athletes that turn into actors, an actual actor who achieved a better physique.
Alexander Ludwig.
He's not bigger than Hemsworth, though.
He's not, but I feel like he's got a better physique.
Who did you say? I didn't catch
Alexander Ludwig.
He's from Vikings, Ragnar's son, right?
Gotcha.
And the guy, I think he's in that wrestling show, Heels, I think as well.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right.
Who else? Who's the guy you like that plays the new Jack Reacher?
Yeah. Thad Castle from Blue Mountain State. Alan Ritchson.
Okay.
Oh boy, he's friggin'. But he is also an ex-football player.
What about Joe Manganiello? Manganiello.
Yeah.
Frank
but I still don't think they're more impressive than Hemsworth.
What about Grillo?
Yeah, he's really lean. He's really shredded. But Hemsworth has size.
Are we talking about size
and definition? Like he has the size. He also has the definition. It's all there.
I have the size. I just have nowhere near the definition.
It's a good fucking question.
Flick too hard, damn it. I'm gonna use that forever now.
That's a good point. I kind of wanted Fat Thor for a little bit longer too myself. I like Fat Thor myself. It's my own because I could go around saying I finally achieved the Thor body I always wanted.
This is peak human optimization.
I think I remember that joke when it came out.
I did an action movie anatomy during the.
I think you did.
I can recycle my own jokes on my own channel. That's fair. All right. How about let's move on then to the moment. Better mid and post credit scene.
Here we go.
That's all you, PLE. That's all you gotta take this one.
Look, I love the Ragnarok one where they show the ship. It's like a prologue for Infinity War. So it got me hyped, no doubt. But it's fucking Hercules, and it's Brett Goldstein playing Hercules.
He's here. He's there. He's every fucking where.
Hercules. Hercules.
He's there. He's every fucking where. Hercules.
Totally hyped me up. We had Zeus die. Going into this whole film, I was like, fuck. They have the Independent City. We're talking about we have Gore the God Butcher. I'm like, they're going to fucking do it to me, aren't they? They're going to fuck me up. They're going to introduce Hercules for like 30 seconds in Olympus, which I thought it was Olympus at first, not Independent City, but whatever. They're going to introduce Hercules in Olympus, and Gore's going to come and slaughter him, and that's going to be my Hercules in the MCU. That I've been waiting for since the beginning of the MCU. And I was like,
reaction if that would have happened.
I would have
loved to have been in the room.
Oh, I would have fucking thrown shit. There'd have been like, it'd have been done. There would have been, I would have walked out of the movie. It was fucking abso-fucking-ridiculous. So it comes and Zeus is there. And then Zeus shows up and then Zeus gets killed, as we think, or whatever. We think, like, it's kind of like, okay, that's Zeus. All right, interesting. And we don't get Hercules. I'm kind of like, I guess that was still technically my one chance to get him. So I'm like, okay, fuck that. And then the mid-credit scenes comes.
You knew who he was talking to, right?
As soon as I heard Zeus talking, I'm like,
yeah.
I started shifting forward to my seat. Like, is it gonna be? And then he said Hercules, and I turned. I was like, there it is. Probably one of the greatest Marvel comic book like costume transition. Like it's like she jumped off the page of the comics, and it's fucking Roy Kent. It's Brett Goldstein.
It took me a second. Choice. It took me a second. Like, who's that? It was like,
oh my God, shit! It's Roy Kent, and he even has the growly, "Yes, Father." And I'm like, oh God, I definitely came all over.
He doesn't even have to act. He can just be Roy Kent.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's perfect for the role.
A little more like maybe arrogant. Like he'll be a touch different, like a touch more arrogant, a touch more carousing.
He can't drop the F-bombs either. Fucking hell.
Fucking hell.
I mean, they use shit a lot in Love and Thunder.
They do. They do.
By the way, I want to say, good to see you. Always good to see you, my friend.
They use shit. And correct me if I'm wrong, with a 12A rating, I think you get one F-bomb.
Yeah, but there was no F-bombs, right?
No, this one.
So maybe they're saving.
There was a lot of shits, though.
Oh God, yeah, I am gonna need the room for this hour, pretty much.
So,
as you like that.
So we'll
Harry chest and all, yes, Harry chest and all. So yeah,
we'll turn this into a little Q&A real quick. Do you agree? And you probably I probably know the answer to this because we've kind of already talked about it offline. Do you think they made a good choice with Brett Goldstein playing Hercules?
I do. My initial thought was like, there's a lot of people out there for this, and I kind of understand where they're coming from. That he's not, especially compared to Hemsworth, he's not as big as Hemsworth. Obviously, Hercules should be similar, but I do think it doesn't really matter that much. I think the CGI can cover some things. I think he can get on the
Jerry B in 300. It was spray tanned abs.
He can do a lot of that stuff, but he is actually he's got the look beyond that. His hairy chest, the hair, the beard, the absolute powerful, like the way he just the arrogance he can presume to have and the way he projects himself, the confidence with which he projects himself is spot on perfect. I can't, especially given like I'm very interested to see where it goes forward because Ragnarok and Love and Thunder and to a degree Thor in the Infinity War has kind of like almost become the Hercules character.
Yeah, that's what you
Marvel
said.
Comics.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like they might play Herc. Like I don't know if they're gonna like go like further than that, or if Herc
or it's completely straight. Yeah,
right. I don't know about that, and I hope they don't go completely straight. I hope they kind of do say, "Fuck it, let's just make them like bro buddies and together." Maybe more. I'd rather have that than anything else because I don't want to lose
two bro dudes like knocking heads until they realize we're pretty much the same person here. Let's just be friends.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I was saying. Yeah, definitely promiscuous angles. Obviously, another thing that's big. He's going to be more of a ladies' man and whatever, and technically a man's man at this point. He's definitely bisexual in the comics now. He's always been bisexual, but they've actually let him be bisexual. Yeah, Hercules was bisexual in myths, and they never, for the longest time, obviously in the straight world of comics back then, he was straight. Like recently, he has a boyfriend now. He's in Guardians of the Galaxy. He has a boyfriend called Marvel Boy. But yeah, the Thor: Love and Thunder is pretty much what Herc is. So it's kind of like it's hard to see how they're going to make that difference. So I say, you know what, fuck it. I don't mind if they're both the same. I don't mind if Hemsworth and they're if they're like kind of competing for the title of the most broy of the bros. I mean, I love the fact that Thor's coming back, Thor will return, and I think that's the best part about the whole thing. I think Thor 5 is already got to be set up. You're going to have Thor and Earth.
I hope Taika comes back.
I do too.
The combination of Taika and Brett Goldstein
and Chris Hemsworth together.
Do you think Hemsworth's coming back?
Absolutely, he'll come back. He will do this part until they pry it out of his cold, dead hands. We'll give him enough money. He likes doing it. I think he's perfectly happy.
He likes it as long as they keep reinventing the character, but there's only so many times that you can reinvent Thor. They've a lot of people are already saying
to go do it. Go back.
I don't think that's true. I think he wanted to be reinvented from the Thor that he started. I think he's very happy with the Thor they got now. I don't think he has to reinvent this one, to be honest with you. And giving him Brett Goldstein to play with, something like that, that's spot on for him.
Plus, it's going to be a while before we see Thor again, probably. So, like, he's gonna have a little break. He'll probably come back.
I mean, I've already written the story. Thor goes off with love. Thor goes off with love and adventures. Herc tracks him down. Maybe appearance by Beta Ray Bill or something. I think Herc whoops Thor's ass. I think that's what happens. But then somehow either Beta Ray Bill or somebody or Love herself would decide treats him and gets to convince him, gets to see that Thor is not a bad guy. He's actually a good guy at heart. Herc decides that Zeus is wrong. Herc and Thor go back to Olympus together. And Herc tries to convince Zeus that Thor is all right, and Zeus is going to cast him out, and that's why he's going to join the Avengers and things like that later on. He'll be an Earth hero now, but a real villain of the film will be somebody like Ares, because Zeus will send Ares after him or Pluto or something like that, and then Herc and Thor will have to team up and beat Ares. I think that's what's going to be.
Ed Harris is Beta Ray Bill. Just throwing that out there.
There you go. I'm all for that. Absolutely. That's a good point there. Yeah, I'm agreeing with Monty completely. I kind of want him to be the same person. It kind of becomes a running joke.
That's weird. You two agreeing on everything.
It's quite a funny that way. I guess when it comes to this, he understands my love for Herc because I think I understand his love for certain comic characters. He understands my love for Herc. I think that's why he's going with it on this. But yeah, that's true. He did say this too. Hemsworth wants to beat Hugh Jackman for the record of how many years and times he's played a comic character. I've heard him say that. He's gotten up there now.
He's getting close.
So yeah, that's what I want to see. I don't even care the second, and honestly, going on to the second post-credit scene, since we're going to bring it back to the actual trial. I actually love that one too. It's a nice, warm way. We had the emotional moment of Jane's death, and we get that kind of cathartic feeling of her going to Valhalla. That just makes so much sense and opens up such a different world. We can see a lot of these people come back potentially at some point, or if we don't, we get to see Valhalla anyway. Either way, much better than the Goldblum Grandmaster humorous post-credit scene in Thor Ragnarok.
I thought that was pretty fun, though.
It was fun, but it's nowhere near. It's like the least. It's my least favorite of the four.
And when it comes to storyline, like Thor Ragnarok first, like the mid-credit scene is like that's a big moment. That's actually like a story moment that happens. So in that sense, Ragnarok had more impact with its actually a new character also. Yeah.
A new character. I'm basically setting up Thor 5.
Sorry,
so that's a prologue for Thor 5. It's a prologue for Infinity War, which is not even the same character. I mean, it's parts of the same characters, but I get what you're saying. That's why I mentioned it initially. But all right, well, Jarvi, you're already talking. What do you think which one's better for you?
Yeah, initially I wanted to go with Thor Ragnarok because of the Thanos moment and because of the ship appearing. Everything, you were like in a different phase. The vibe was totally different. The Russo brothers were doing it. It was a big moment when the ship appeared there. But for me, actually, the decider is not the Hercules one, but the one that you mentioned when when Foster is reaching Valhalla, and Heimdall's just waiting for her there, and just I don't know. It's such her story arc has been kind of a tragic one next to Gore's. She loses her fight to cancer, but you sort of get this. We don't even know if it's a send-off. You said it yourself. They can't bring her back. Anything can happen. But it's such a wholesome moment, the way she's just accepted into Valhalla. And for the second credit scene, I'm giving this one to Love and Thunder.
Okay. Matty, you talked a little bit about it. What are your final decision for this?
The Jane scene would have sunk it for me if they didn't end it with saying Thor will return. She is the mighty Thor. We don't know which Thor they were talking about. Richie Hemsworth, could be Natalie Portman.
Could be the kid.
Could be love. We don't know which one they were talking about. That's why, like, by the slightest of margins, I have to, in good conscience, give it to Thor Ragnarok. And this is another, like the fist pump moments, it's a very slim margin, because looking at it as a retrospect, that mid-credits scene at the end of Ragnarok, after everything that Thor and Loki went through, they're still brothers. They still love each other. And then we didn't know it then, but that moment when they look up and they see Thanos' ship, we didn't know that was potentially the last conversation that those two were ever going to have together. After everything that they went through together, all the times fighting against each other, fighting with each other, they had no idea that one of them wasn't going to leave that ship alive.
Okay.
And I feel like the emotional weight of that, looking at it in retrospect, it hits me a lot harder than either of the ones from Love and Thunder. And we have Jeff Goldblum being Jeff Goldblum. Like, who doesn't love Jeff Goldblum? But the deciding thing was looking at it back and, like, yeah, we might see Loki and Thor together again one day, but it's not going to be that iteration of Loki. It's not going to be the brother that he knew in that story arc. And, like, they're seeing the relationship that they went from Loki wanting to always be better than Thor to Loki wanting to kill Thor to Loki realizing, hey, man, like, I may fucking hate you sometimes, but you're my brother. I love you, and I'm willing to take on a mad fucking titan and die for you.
You make some good arguments.
You do.
Except the one that they can't make is that still doesn't top. He's there. He's every fucking wherever he can. Will always be the one that wins for me. Yep. So
okay.
All right, but a very nice try.
Damn, way to shoot down my deep moment.
That's what I'm here for.
I hate to see what you do to the next one. Fucking hell.
All right, let's do it. Let's argue now. We're going to get into the last category, the better cast. That's good. Before we do that, I'll throw Monty versus Cole up there. It's good. Our Infinity War hyped itself, so mid-credit scene Thor didn't do anything to get to where we were. As Love and Thunder builds hype for Thor 5 we didn't know we were getting. That's a good point. Solid point. We knew Infinity War was already coming. All that was, I mean, we basically got the same sequence in the beginning of Infinity War, really. So it didn't really get a whole lot of a hype for me. Whereas this, we got the whole new character, we get the idea of where this is going versus something we already knew was happening. So I get that point. That's a good point, too, which is why I'm still staying with Love and Thunder. He's there. You're
not going to get an extra point because of that, you know?
I'm giving Montyverse a point. We're going to actually include Montyverse in that. No, okay. All right. Best cast, Ragnarok, or this is the final one we have, better cast, Ragnarok. Or this actually was originally first best villain, but we decided we decide to expand it to better cast. And I'm actually glad because better villain is actually more difficult for me than better cast would be, to be honest with you. But let's start with you, Jarvi, and then we'll go to me, and then we'll go to Matty because Matty wanted to finish this one out. So
yeah, let's start with the villains like you just did. We got two Oscar winners right here: Christian Bale versus Cate Blanchett. Now between these two, I don't know if I could have decided. I know it feels like Christian Bale did something more, I don't know, more out there, but Cate Blanchett as Hela, I mean, I'd say she's up there in the top 5, if not a top 3 of MCU villains. Like Thanos is always the one you go to, but Hela was a freaking badass, and she did not look bad in that outfit. I'll just say that. also, both these characters had a very gripping backstory to them. I could totally see why Hela was the way she was. Like Odin pretty much just used her, discarded her, locked her up. Now Gore, you pretty much did the John Wick thing to Gore. You just took away his child, killed him right in front of them. You don't need any more motivation. You got motivation for that character, and you're totally invested. Also, he at the end of the day wasn't even interested in killing gods, and I said that halfway through the movie when Was it the eternity that he was trying to get to?
Yes.
Eternity, right?
Yep.
Not eternal. Eternity. Yeah.
Eternity.
And I said to my buddy who was watching it in the cinema with, like, he's not going to wish for the gods to die. He's going to wish for his kid back. That's pretty much exactly what happened. And
although he wasn't going to, he was convinced of it.
Well, but he did, though.
He did, but he wasn't. When he went in there, he wasn't going to. That's what he wasn't going for. He was convinced by Thor, by seeing Thor's love of immortal. That's what convinced him to do that. He said a god.
Oh, and did I say he played Gore? No, he played the nun. Christian Bale was the nun from The Conjuring.
Oh,
too,
true.
Right?
That is actually
that was. I'm sorry, I mixed it up.
I love that moment with the moment with the kids. I thought that was fucking.
That was full on the nun.
By the way, let me think back in and say maybe I should cast Ed Harris as Eternity. Maybe that's a better choice to go. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, but like the returning characters, I'd say Tessa Thompson was actually cooler in Thor Ragnarok. I kind of liked her, like a drunkard, sort of lost in her ways scavenger. When we think of so Russell Crowe versus Jeff Goldblum, now that is a bit of a tougher one to decide on, because a lot of people have been saying Crowe kind of wasn't their jam at all. He just went way too over the top. I disagree. I think Crowe had so much fun with his character. I think Jeff Goldblum did what he always does, but it freaking worked. He was perfectly cast. I do wish that Zeus had a bit more to do, though. It was kind of a short scene, whereas Goldblum had pretty much like a whole, I think, second act that was all to him. Funnily enough, the decider for me is going to be Karl Urban in Thor Ragnarok. I feel like he was such an underrated character. He was perfectly cast. Everything, his humor, his look, the way he introduced Des and Troy, his two M16s, his arc as well. He started off as sort of a goofy, villainous character and ended up redeeming himself. I'm going Ragnarok because of freaking Karl Urban.
Okay, there we go. That up. All right.
I didn't talk about Natalie Portman, though, but I'm sure one of you will.
All right. Let's see then. Well, to me, because we want to wait. I wish I could just give this to. I kind of go back and forth in this one myself. I kind of put them side by side. I actually didn't really think too much about which one I liked better, like as far as Tessa in Ragnarok versus like Love and Thunder. I almost kind of felt them. They kind of cancel each other out for that part. But I guess I see what you're saying. I kind of did like her more in Ragnarok as well. When it comes down to this, I have on one side Texas. We have Christian Bale in Thor: Love and Thunder, who was phenomenal, but probably underused. I got to say, if that was one of my arguments for Love and Thunder, I kind of wanted more of Gore somehow, butchering some gods. It is Russell Crowe versus Goldblum.
The Nun.
That's right. So the Nun. But I did like Blanchett. Blanchett was always I think Blanchett was my favorite MCU villain of the Infinity War saga, to be honest. The entire album. I loved her great. I thought she was great. So I kind of leaned toward Ragnarok in that. I think Bale has more potential, but it was not as used as well. Crowe versus Goldblum. I'll side Crowe there because I love Zeus. I love his over-the-top Greek accent Zeus thing. I mean, I love Goldblum. Don't get me wrong.
It was so dumb.
It was so great. And
for what it needed
and
to
the
be,
armor.
The
armor. You could not compare him to Gladiator.
Right?
I would have loved to have seen Crowe's reaction to the costume for the first time.
Yeah, me too. You finally.
You want me to fit in that?
You want me to wear what? You want me to say what? You want me to do what accent?
Apparently, he was like from the get-go. He knew exactly what to do with the character. Taika talked about Russell Crowe. He had this thing going on immediately. Like he had it locked in.
He did. He knew exactly what he was saying. But Ragnarok also does have Mark Ruffalo as Hulk, which is fun, and he's great in that. He's got some great zingers with Thor. Great relationship with them.
Yes, friend from work.
And they had the different moments together. Ragnarok does have the Warriors 3, which I did enjoy. Has Karl Urban. Does have. It seems like I have a lot more than Ragnarok. Just by sheer numbers, has more. Anthony Hopkins as Odin is a great character in that.
Yeah.
Now, Thor: Love and Thunder does have Natalie Portman back and Kat Jennings, even though it's a brief moment. I do love that part. So, which do I go? It's hard to say, but I think I keep wanting to say Love and Thunder, and then I keep going, but Tom Hiddleston and Loki. That's Loki. That's what keeps stopping me from going.
Why didn't you flip a coin?
I almost want to flip a coin, but then I got to go Brett Goldstein for Hercules. That counts, technically speaking. So I think I got to go Love and Thunder. Thunder.
There we go.
That's what it is. It's going to be Brett Goldstein's Herc. Just made me very happy. So either way, it really is a flip of a coin. I love Ragnarok just as much. So it's up to Matty. Let's see what Matty has to say.
Look at his smug face. He has something up in his sleeve.
It's not so much a smug moment. It's more like when I was thinking about this, I realized something. Take me. No, for this, put me back. Christian. I'll get into it. For the majority of the cast, I feel it's very much the same cast for Ragnarok and for Love and Thunder. So I have to go down to which performance sold me the most. And while Cate Blanchett is great, the MCU do a really good job of humanizing the villains. And like, while some of them, I'm like, yeah, hell, I understand why. Thor, Thanos, I understand why. Gore was the very first villain that I could see myself in. He was the first villain that I thought, if I was in the same position, and it all stems down to a personal relationship I have with that kind of thing. It's public knowledge. My grandfather was the most important person in my life, and he was very much a man of faith. And when he got sick and as he was transitioning, I'd always ask him, I'd be like, you still believe all this shit? Like, this thing you love that you've devoted your life to, like, it's causing you all this sickness and this pain, and you still love it? And I was an angry 16-year-old kid, so when like he would say to me, it's for a reason, I would get so fucking angry because, like, what fucking reason is there? And it would just, it made me hate everything to my fucking core. I was a kid. Like, I didn't fucking know. So, like, when Gore's laying there and he's got his child, and when he puts the sword through the god's throat, I saw myself in that, because, like, I don't know, if everything is real and, like, one day I get to the pearly gates, and I will damn sure make sure I get a good fucking shot in before I'm sent down the other way. Just to be like, fuck you, man. Fuck you. And I feel like,
oh man,
like, that relationship I had to Gore, like, I could see myself in Gore because of, like, the pain that I went through, because of my grandfather's, like, love for, like, because of his devotion to his faith. And, like, it's not me being like, no one should have that, but I was an angry fucking kid, and I was questioning it. I hated him for it, because I was like, how can you still, like, believe this shit with what you're going through? So, like, some of, like, when Gore said, and this I vow, all gods will die, I was like, fuck yeah, dude. And like, just seeing him, like, crying, holding his daughter, I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Go and slaughter every fucking one of them.
Even Hercules.
I was like,
he's a demigod. You might be able to get off. He's a demigod.
But, like, for this,
demi kill him.
This is just me, like, wanting to. I know Christian Bale probably took this knowing he's probably got one movie and then he's done. But he left such an impact on me in this one movie that no other villain has been able to do yet.
Wow.
And I want to give him the flowers that he deserves for doing that, because this was the first time that, like, a villain made me think, am I siding with the fucking bad guy here?
Not the first time Marvel has done this.
But not to this extent. Not for me to this extent, where I'm like,
right,
I kind of want him to win this.
Wow, that's a very.
We gotta send this to Christian Bale.
I think the strength on that alone, like, Christian Bale kind of tipped the scales more for me, and I was just like, Ragnarok's great, but Christian Bale was just like, fuck, man, like it just hit me on like such an emotional and spiritual level that I can't not give it to him.
Fair enough. All right. I mean, that's,
do you know
who
I would actually compare his performance to is Magneto, played by Michael Fassbender.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like very much both like very much characters in pain who have every reason to be.
Right.
Such great, like, tragic, emotional performances. Yeah.
Good job. Good call. That's a very good call, guys. I'm very impressed with your passion. I mean, I know you're.
Oh, that was all Matty. Matty brought the passion right there.
It did take me until like going through this to realize that, because it did make me think, like, shit, like I get it. Like Thanos, I'm like, I can see why, blah, 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 but I'm just like, pretty much. But I was just like, hey, man, I get it, because if I was in the position, like, I'd fucking suck in one too.
And handsome Dan Nyag, always good to see you in the chat. Look at the handsome gentleman, Dan, a good
guy.
Dude.
Oh, I love Dan. He's the best.
And yes, we do. That is true, Monty. We do know Zeus did upgrade into a rank of full god, so he is a full god. So good.
Can I just say that Dan would have been my alternate pick for Hercules?
Dan would have been a great Hercules, absolutely.
Dan would have been a great Hercules.
Because he always had. I think he has a voice. You might just need to like project it a little more, because he's very known more for his very low radio voice, where it's very sexy and sultry. But he might need to project a little bit more for Hercules. But I know he can do it because he's a very talented man. But well, that's
great
it, guys.
taste in music, by the way, as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There we go. The battle is over. And I am a little
Ragnarok
surprised.
versus Love and Thunder. Which one wins?
Love and Thunder wins our battle 9-6. 9-6. Love and Thunder.
I didn't think it would be that far apart.
Yeah.
I was thinking like Ragnarok takes it with one vote or something.
Maybe like 8 to 7.
I'm a little upset, I'll be honest.
I actually will say it right here. I prefer Ragnarok overall as a movie. Of these categories, that's what happens on Class Action.
I quote it.
That's what happens on Class Action, my friends. So, well, alrighty then. Let's get out of here. How about you tell us where folks can find you, Matty Gunner?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Matty Gunner, Instagram Matty_Gunner. You can also check out my new single from my new band Mourner, coming July 22nd, called The Cracks Beneath. You can find us on Instagram at Mourner Band.
Was that the song?
That was the clip of the song that I sent you. I will send you the whole thing. Jarvi's had a little snippet.
So fucking good.
Thank you, bro. I got the Jarvi seal of approval. You can find me every Thursday and Sunday on the Wild Jones Podcast Network, talking the world of MMA, Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, all that stuff. And you can find me here every Tuesday with these two fine gentlemen, listening to me talk my emo stories when it comes to relating to movies.
What about you, Mr. Jarvi?
You can find me on Twitter, not at Richard_Jarvi, but you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Richard-Erik with a K Jarvi. And of course, here weekly on Tuesdays on Doing Class Action.
And you can find me at Paul_DiNuzzo on Twitter. You can find me every week with these fine gentlemen on Class Action. I don't know what we're doing next week, but we'll figure that out quickly enough. You can also, today, in about 15-20 minutes, the debut of Crown Jewel Season 2, as I get into Queen 2, second album in the catalog. Love.
Probably my favorite Queen album.
Mine too at times. Like I go through rotation, like kind of like sometimes it rotates in and out of my favorites, like depending on what I'm in the mood for. The Queen 2 is always up there. I'm finally getting into that. It's a short form content for you guys, usually 15-minute episodes, give or take. And also, you can find me on Wednesdays on Two Mediocre White Dudes on Film, myself and PJ Campbell. We're diving deep into the Halloween franchise now. Halloween 2 specifically is this week. We definitely go all in on that. It's an interesting episode. It's a fun episode. It's not exactly a loving episode, but that's okay. It's definitely,
what does that mean?
we weren't huge fans of Halloween 2. And we definitely give reasons why, especially a character called Bud. But and then, of course, you can find me on Action Industries to help produce for Ben and Andrew Guy. And at least until Halloween 2 is in the 1981 version, William, not the...
okay, because I thought you both loved Halloween Kills.
I remember
We did.
I remember you and PJ talking the other night, actually, on Kiwi Jess's stream about your hatred for Halloween.
We had just watched it that day, that day in preparation because we recorded the episode the day after that, the Kiwi Jess episode aired. So it was a little bit of a preview, so to speak. Yes, and yeah, you're right.
Actually, I think I have an idea for next week. We talked about doing something related to horror because Black Phone came out. I'm actually seeing Black Phone tomorrow. And one of the topics we have down is The Conjuring versus Insidious. What do you think about that one?
That's potential. We'll talk afterwards. I have to see if I can. I want to be able to rewatch the Insidious series. I might have to.
I have to rewatch them as well.
The Conjuring universe I just rewatched for Two Mediocre White Dudes, but Insidious I'd need to watch. I might want to push that off a week or two to make sure I get them all in, but we'll see.
But just maybe Conjuring 1 versus Insidious 1, or do you want to do franchise versus franchise?
We can do. All right, we'll talk more off air about it. Absolutely. I will also say again, just so everybody knows, the movie Trivia Schmodown, while it has been unfortunately canceled the last season, it is still going. So please keep watching the end. We did some awesome matches. We worked our ass off the entire time, and me and PJ are promising a well-written spectacular. I'll tell you that much. It'll be a lot of fun. And otherwise, that's it, guys. Patreon.com/PLD Project. You can find us also on there. Please join us. We've got a bunch of great patrons already. And they get some extra content. They get some extra. We get some hangouts going. We're hopefully going to get some watch-alongs going at some point. Already, they do get Two Mediocre White Idiots in a Box. We do Doctor Who. We're going to do some extra content about Halloween. We have we read this book called Taking Shape 2, and it talks all about these lost sequels that never were produced for Halloween. And they are there's 23 of them over the years. And me and PJ are going to be discussing those lost projects, what we would like to have seen out of them. That's a good point. I'm a vampire, so the day burns me. I'll tell you that much. But I want to shout out a couple of patrons: Daniel Ramirez, Braden Buckingham, Brady Parker, Jeff Alterman, John Lestrina, Kelly W. We salute you guys for everything you do, and the rest of my patrons as well. Much love to you guys. Next week we'll see you. Same class action place, same class action time, and
class action.
There you go. Class action.
And
justice is served.